Protests continue across Georgia for a third consecutive night after the government suspended negotiations to join the European Union.
The Syrian military rushed in reinforcements on Sunday to push back rebels from advancing farther into the countryside. Iceland's Social Democrats have won the largest share of votes in Saturday's parliamentary election.
Polling stations have opened across Romania where millions are casting their ballots in the country's parliamentary election.
Protesters have gathered across Georgia for a third consecutive night after the government decided to suspend negotiations to join the European Union. Some media outlets reported seeing protesters being chased and beaten by police as demonstrators rallied in front of the country's parliament building. The ruling Georgian Dream Party's disputed victory in the country's parliamentary elections sparked major demonstrations and led to an opposition boycott of the parliament. The government's announcement that it was suspending accession negotiations came hours after the European Parliament adopted a resolution that condemned the vote as neither free nor fair. EU lawmakers urged a rerun within a year under thorough international supervision and by an independent election administration. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobesidze denounced what he described as a cascade of insults from EU politicians and accused them of blackmail.
After conquering large parts of Aleppo on Saturday, Syrian insurgents are advancing deeper into the surrounding Hama province. The Syrian military rushed in reinforcements on Sunday to push back the rebels from advancing farther into the countryside. The Syrian White Helmets, which operate in opposition-held areas, said government airstrikes on Idlib killed 4 civilians and wounded 54 others. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights claimed civilians had also been killed by alleged Russian strikes on Idlib. Meanwhile, President Assad made his first public comments through Syrian state media on Saturday evening, saying his forces will defeat the insurgents no matter how much their attacks intensify. Syrian state television claimed government forces had killed nearly 1,000 insurgents over the past 3 days, but didn't provide evidence or details. Iceland's Social Democrats have won the largest share of votes in Saturday's parliamentary election. With all votes tallied on Sunday, the center-left party more than doubled its total number of seats, unseating the ruling coalition of the past 7 years. Its leader, Kristrún Frostadóttir, is among the favorites to become prime minister, vowing to tackle a cost of living crisis through the Nordic welfare model. Icelanders voted Saturday after disagreements over immigration, energy policy, and the economy forced the country's prime minister to call an early election. All the parties in the governing coalition saw their seat count decline, with the Left Greens losing all 8 of its parliamentary seats. While counting was delayed in some areas by snowstorms, election turnout was high by international standards, with 80% of registered voters casting ballots.
Polling stations have opened in Romania where millions are casting their ballots in the parliamentary election. It comes just 1 week after a controversial first round of the presidential race and is sandwiched between the runoff vote set for next week. And while the president has significant decision-making powers in Romania, it's the prime minister that heads the government. Last week's presidential vote saw far-right independent candidate Călin Georgescu win 23% of the vote. Georgescu's win has been marred with controversy, with Romania's top court requesting a recount of votes and launching a probe into potential foreign interference. Georgescu's campaign, promoted only via social media platform TikTok, has often displayed anti-NATO and anti-EU rhetoric. Political analysts have been reluctant to predict the outcome of Sunday's parliamentary vote. Many are waiting to see if the political tide has shifted in Romania and has veered towards populist politics.